Welcome to this video. This is a video on how to make and constrain superchargers in a way that you can easily adjust how they fit and get it how you want them to fit together. This is an example that I modeled earlier. You can see it fits pretty closely and it's quite mesmerizing to watch, like a real supercharger. And this is a video on how to get some really good tolerances, or how to get these to fit really close without making contact. This works for both 3 and 4 lobe superchargers and even a 2 lobe, and you can see that these lobes do not make contact anywhere, but they fit close enough that the supercharger can work well. So let's get started. I'm going to open up a new part, and I'll get normal to my front plane, and I'll do a 3-point arc to begin with. From here, I'll do a second 3-point arc, about 45 degrees from point to point. Again, this is just beginning, so we don't have to be too accurate. I'll select these 2 points, and I'll make them horizontal. And I'll make this point vertical. And from here, I'll do a circular sketch pattern from here and here, and I'll increase the radius to make it more manageable. And now, since it's a pattern, all these relations, I should say all these replicated entities, have relations with each other. So all I have to do is start to merge this point and this point, and from here to here I'll coincident that. Oh, I didn't like that, so I'll just drag this up, and we should be able to coincident now. Beautiful. From here, we're looking like we've got a pretty basic supercharger sketch. So that's a pretty good thing and a pretty good place to start. I'll start to dimension this. The first dimension that I care about is from here to here. And I'll make this 1 inch. And from here to here, I'll make this 1.25. And I care from this opening right here to here. I'll make that 3/4 of an inch. And finally, to fully constrain it, I care from the center to the origin. And I'll make that 1.25. This is a basic supercharger lobe, and we can tune this from the assembly after we build it. So I'm going to exit the sketch, select the front plane, and do a new sketch on the same plane, put in a circle, and give a tangent relation between our last sketch and this one, which will fully constrain our circle. From here, I'll go Features and Curves, Helix, and Spiral. And I want, let's say, between height and revolution, I'm going to say 10 by half a revolution, and it gives me a spiral. Now I can do a swept boss base, and we have a supercharger lobe. From here, I'll save this and I'll call it lobe 1. So I have lobe 1. Now I'm going to do a save as and name the next one lobe 2. And on lobe 2, go to the sweep, helix, and spiral, edit the feature, and select the clockwise or counterclockwise, as long as it's opposite. Rebuild and save. Now, on both lobes, I will make a hole to protrude through the center, and that will help with relations in an assembly. I'll just do a small hole. Finally, I'll make a bracket, and that will be just something to reference to make an assembly to compare how these lobes work together. So you can see how I've constrained the sketch, vertical, horizontal lines, the center point of this coincident with the origin. Now I'm going to extrude this and save it. From here, I'll insert some components. And add relations. I'll say mate, I'll select this circular region, and I'll make it coincident with this circular region. And I'll do the same for the other lobe. And that's enough for as much as we care about right now. And we can notice that our lobes are a little bit off. This lobe is either too large or this opening is too small. So let's edit these parts, and we've constrained them in a way that it makes it easy to edit and optimize how they fit together. So I'm going to edit the component from the assembly. And there's my sketch. First thing I'm going to do is, this is very narrow here, and so I want it to be wider to fit this lobe. So I'm going to make this drastically wider. I'll say 1.25. That's a little bit too wide. I'll go down to 1.15. That's a little bit better. And I'll do the same on the other lobe. From here, let's test to see how they work together. I'll select this inside circle, and I'll select this one. And I'll do a mechanical gear mate. Check this reverse box if they're not spinning the way that you want to, and make sure that these numbers match each other. From there, we can see that there's going to be no collisions on the supercharger, but I may want to have tighter tolerances or smoother connection in this area. And if I want that, the first thing to do is I can add a sketch fillet or a feature fillet along this edge, and that will help smooth out these arcs that we sketched with. You can also do a tangent relation if you prefer to do that. I've got a little bit of a soft spot for the feature fillet, so I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, now that we've filleted these edges, we'll want to and we can make this a little bit wider on our 3-point arcs, which will bring, as a corollary, a closer tolerance. So I have a 1-inch width here. I'll make this 1.1 inches, and I'll do the same on the other. Now that we're looking a little bit wider, it looks like we've got a very nice close tolerance when these lobes come together, and they seem to fit together very well. If we look closely, we can also confirm that they come close, but they do not make contact. This is going to be a pretty good supercharger as far as that tolerance is concerned. And we can see that all the way down, there's no contact between these surfaces. When you're adjusting, as some final steps, if you have more trouble than what we've come across in this video, I'll open up a sketch. It helps to adjust this dimension and this dimension first. It also helps to adjust them together. So don't make any extreme adjustments on this without adjusting this also. Once you're satisfied with this and this, optimize it by doing this dimension and this dimension next. I was pretty happy with this dimension, so I made a slight adjustment on this one, and I got a supercharger that I was rather satisfied with. I hope those tips help. That's how I've done all of my superchargers, and this works on both 3 and 4 lobe superchargers. So, this video was helpful. Please subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.